Imagine standing at the edge of your life. Not tomorrow, not next week, but 10 years from now. You're staring at the results of every choice you've made, the habits you kept, the ones you broke, the discipline you practiced, the distractions you entertained. You can feel it in your body, you can see it in your bank account, you can hear it in the voice of the person you've become. That version of you isn't random. It's not luck, it's math. It's the accumulation of thousands of tiny decisions compounded over time. And right now, in this very moment, that future version of you is being built, one choice at a time. Most people think success is about big breaks, the big launch, the big launch, the big win, the viral moment, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's not. The truth is far less glamorous, but infinitely more powerful. Success is built in silence. It's built in discipline. It's built in the small, boring, invisible actions you repeat every day when no one's watching. Every choice you make is a vote for the person you're becoming. The food you eat, the words you speak, the books you read, the people you surround yourself with, the dollars you save, they all count. They're all bricks in the structure of your destiny. Most people are waiting for a miracle. The few who win are busy compounding their decisions. Let me tell you something that changed my life forever. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to change something today. Because success doesn't explode into your life. It sneaks in quietly, disguised as consistency. The compound effect isn't magic, it's mechanics. It's the invisible law of the universe that turns small, smart choices into massive results. It works for you or against you. It doesn't care whether you believe in it. It's working right now in your relationships, your finances, your health, your mindset. The only question is, are you using it consciously or is it using you by default? See, your habits are votes cast in the election of your future. Every decision you make is a signal to your destiny. This is who I am. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be extraordinary. You just have to be consistent. Because the small things done right over time become the big things. I've met millionaires who started broke. I've met leaders who once couldn't lead themselves. I've met couples who rebuilt love from the ashes of routine. And the common thread between them all was this. They decided to take control of the small. They stopped waiting for motivation. They stopped chasing shortcuts. They stopped lying to themselves about time. And they started making decisions that compounded into destiny. This is the truth no one tells you. Success is boring. Freedom is repetitive. Greatness is predictable. It's not in the wild ideas or dramatic risks. It's in the discipline to do what's right again and again and again. When the world is distracted by noise, the masters are focused on the next step. When others look for miracles, they're building habits. When others wait for change, they become the change. That's what this journey is. It's not about hype. It's about habit. It's not about luck. It's about logic. It's not about overnight transformations. It's about long-term evolution. Because every great achievement in history, every financial empire, every masterpiece, every legacy, all of it was built one decision at a time. So I want to challenge you tonight. Stop asking, how long will it take? And start asking, how far can I go if I don't stop? Because I promise you, if you keep showing up, if you keep taking those small steps in the right direction, if you keep compounding effort with intention, one day everything will shift. The momentum will catch, the results will multiply, and people will call you lucky, not knowing how many ordinary days it took to create that luck. Your life is a bank account. Every action is a deposit or a withdrawal. Every habit compounds interest or debt, and the only person who decides the balance at the end is you. So tonight, as we begin this journey together, I want you to remember something powerful. You are always compounding. Every thought, every action, every choice is shaping your tomorrow. The compound effect is the most reliable force on the planet. And once you learn to harness it, you'll never be at the mercy of luck, circumstance, or timing again. This is your time. This is your moment to stop drifting and start designing, to stop waiting for change and start creating it. Because the truth is simple, smart choices consistently applied over time. That's not just the secret to success. That's the blueprint for freedom. I want you to imagine something. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, and below you is a vast ocean, not of water, but of opportunity. Every wave is a choice. Every ripple is an action. Most people stand there frozen, staring at the horizon, waiting for some massive wave of luck to carry them to success. They wait for a miracle, the perfect timing, the big break, the right connection, the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And while they wait, someone else quietly takes one small step forward, then another, and another. And before long, while the dreamers are still waiting, the doer is already across the ocean, standing on the opposite shore, soaked, tired, but victorious. That, my friends, is the compound effect in motion. The world loves the idea of overnight success, but the truth is there's no such thing. You don't suddenly wake up wealthy, healthy, or fulfilled. Success doesn't come in explosions, it comes in drips. Every extraordinary result you see, the business built from nothing, the athlete at the top of their game, the family that thrives through generations, all of it is built on the back of small, almost invisible decisions repeated relentlessly. Success is boring. It's not dramatic, it's not sexy. It's the daily grind, the ordinary disciplines performed consistently over time. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. When people ask me how I built financial freedom, they often expect a secret formula, some insider trick that the wealthy keep hidden. But the truth is wealth, real, lasting, freedom-generating wealth, is nothing more than the compound effect of disciplined actions with money, time, and purpose. If you spend less than you earn, invest the difference, and stay patient long enough, you'll become rich. If you do the opposite, you'll become broke. Simple math, yet it's too simple for most people to take seriously. We want fireworks, not flickers. But it's the flickers that build the fire. Everything compounds. Your money, your health, your relationships, your habits, your thought. The principle is neutral. It doesn't care if you use it for you or against you. Every choice you make sets off a chain reaction. Skip the gym once. No big deal. Skip it 10 times and you've built a habit of avoidance. Spend $10 unnecessarily. Harmless. Spend $10 unnecessarily every day for 10 years, and you've given away the down payment on your dream home. Speak kindly to your spouse once. Nice. Do it daily, and you build a marriage that outlasts storms. Ignore them for months, and you build resentment. The compound effect never sleeps. It's always working. The question is it working for you or against you? I remember a moment early in my career when I realized how powerful this principle really was. I was 19, new to sales, and failing miserably. I wanted to be successful. Who doesn't? But I was impatient. I wanted to close huge deals, make 6 figures, drive the fancy car. I worked hard for 2 weeks, saw no result, and almost quit. Then my mentor told me something I'll never forget. Darren, you can't harvest in the same season you plant. That hit me like a hammer. Success is not microwavable. You can't cramp for greatness. You must earn it drip by drip. That's when I started tracking my behaviors. Every call I made, every dollar I spent, every meal I ate, every book I read. I became a scientist of my own life. And slowly the tide turned. Within a year, I was one of the top performers in my company. Within a few years, I was financially independent. Not because I was smarter or luckier, but because I learned to trust the process. I fell in love with boring. I became addicted to progress, not perfection. And the momentum built until it became unstoppable. Momentum is magic. Once it's on your side, it's hard to slow down. But the opposite is also true. If you let negative momentum take over, if you let procrastination, laziness, or distraction compound, it's just as powerful, only in reverse. Every day you drift, your dream drifts further away. The compound effect doesn't ask for brilliance. It asks for consistency. The difference between the person who wins and the person who wishes is discipline. The willingness to keep doing the right thing long after the excitement has faded. You won't feel like it most days. Motivation fades, systems remain. That's why habits matter. They automate your future. When you build the right habits, success becomes inevitable. Not immediate, inevitable. Most people fail not because they make the wrong big choices, but because they underestimate the impact of small ones. The truth is, every little thing counts. Every calorie, every dollar, every minute, every word you say to yourself, it all adds up. Your life today is the result of your compounded past. Your future will be the result of your compounded present. The compound effect is always fair. It gives you exactly what you've earned, no more, no less. I once read a story about 2 friends who started the same job on the same day. One of them, let's call him John, decided to make one tiny improvement every day. Read 10 pages, make one more call, save $10, skip dessert. The other Mike decided to relax a little. Watch another show, spend a little more, postpone that goal for later. After a year, you could barely tell the difference between them. After 3 years, John was promoted, healthy, confident, and financially secure. Mike was struggling with debt, fatigue, and frustration. After 5 years, the gap was so wide they weren't even in the same universe. That's how the compound effect works. Slowly, silently, then suddenly. I see the same thing in money. The wealthy understand compounding intuitively. They know that time and consistency are the most powerful assets in the world. They don't chase hype. They respect patience. They let money work harder than they do. And it starts with small, boring decisions. Do you automatically save a portion of every paycheck? Do you invest regularly, even when the market dips? Do you learn new skills that increase your earning power every year? These are the tiny hinges that swing the massive doors of wealth. Financial freedom isn't about luck. It's about long-term alignment with cause and effect. Now, let me tell you something that might sting a little. You're already compounding something right now. Maybe it's growth, maybe it's decay, maybe it's wealth, maybe it's debt, maybe it's happiness, maybe it's resentment. The results don't lie. If you want to know what you're really committed to, look at your results. They're the perfect reflection of what you've been compounding. The good news? You can change direction at any moment. The bad news? Most people won't, because it's easier to complain than to commit. You see, the compound effect rewards responsibility and punishes excuses. If you believe life is happening to you, you'll always be a victim. If you realize life is responding to you, you'll start to play offense. Every decision you make sends ripples into the future. When you take ownership, you grab the steering wheel of your destiny. You stop drifting. You start driving. Every book you read, every podcast you listen to, every conversation that stretches your thinking compounds, at first it feels like nothing. Then one day, you realize you've developed insights, instincts, and clarity that others call genius. But genius is just compounded learning. Wisdom is interest earned on experience. Every time you reflect instead of react, you're compounding wisdom. Every time you learn instead of judge, you're compounding perspective. The smartest people in the world are not the fastest learners. They're the most consistent learners. If you want to accelerate the compound effect, you have to master 2 things: discipline and environment. Discipline is your internal engine. Environment is your external fuel. You can't rely on motivation because motivation is emotional and emotions fluctuate. Discipline is built, not felt. You build it by doing what you said you'd do, even when you don't feel like it. Every time you follow through, you cast a vote for the future you want. Every time you break your word, you weaken your identity. Freedom is built on integrity, the alignment between what you say and what you do. But discipline alone isn't enough. You can't plant roses in concrete and expect them to grow. Your environment must support your goals. Surround yourself with people who live the principles you want to embody. Environment is stronger than willpower. If you hang around 5 disciplined people, you'll become the 6th. If you hang around 5 broke complainers, you'll become the 6th. The compound effect magnifies the influence of your environment. It's not just your actions that compound. Your associations do too. When I look back at my own journey, I can trace every major breakthrough to small adjustments in my environment. I replaced the noise of television with audiobooks. I replaced negative conversations with empowering ones. I replaced short-term pleasures with long-term investments. None of these changes felt monumental, but over time they reprogrammed my trajectory. I became more focused, more energetic, more intentional. The people who once doubted me started asking for advice. That's how subtle transformation becomes visible success. And let me tell you something else. The compound effect is not just about achievement. It's about fulfillment. It's not just about building wealth. It's about building character. Because when you live this way, disciplined, aware, intentional, you don't just accumulate results. You accumulate confidence. You wake up every day knowing that you're in control of your direction. That's true freedom. Freedom is not the absence of work. It's the presence of purpose. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's that small, smart choices multiplied by consistency and time equals massive results. It's not exciting, but it's undefeated. You can use this formula to build wealth, health, love, happiness. The math never fails. Only people do when they quit too soon. You already have everything you need. You have time, you have choices, and you have the ability to decide. The compound effect doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for persistence. You don't have to change your life overnight. You just have to change it today, and then again tomorrow, and then again the day after that. Because one day, without realizing it, you'll wake up living the life you once dreamed about, and you'll smile, not because of one big event, but because of the thousands of small moments that built it. That's the promise of the compound effect. It's the most powerful force in the universe, and it's already working. The only question that remains is this: are you ready to use it consciously, or will you keep letting it use you by accident? Let's be honest. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they can't stay consistent long enough to let success catch up. They get excited, they start strong, and then life happens. They get distracted, discouraged, disappointed. They trade what they want most for what they want now. And that trade, made quietly, daily, invisibly, is what kills dreams. The compound effect doesn't stop working just because you stop paying attention. It just starts working against you instead of for you. The truth is, success is an emotional game disguised as a logical one. We all know what we should do: eat healthy, save money, exercise, be kind, work hard, invest in ourselves. The formulas aren't complicated, but we're not logical beings. We're emotional creatures trying to survive our impulses. Logic is easy when you're calm. It's useless when you're tempted. The real challenge isn't knowing the right action. It's choosing it when it's inconvenient. The gap between knowing and doing is where most people lose their freedom. Here's what I've learned. The difference between average and extraordinary isn't talent, it's emotional discipline. It's the ability to act independent of mood. Anyone can be consistent when they feel good. Champions are consistent when they don't. When everything in you says a stop, when progress feels invisible, when no one's clapping, that's the exact moment when the compound curve is quietly building behind the scenes. If you stop then, you lose it all. But if you keep going, you break through the barrier most never cross. Think about your emotions as waves. They rise, they fall, they crash. You can't control when the waves come, but you can learn how to surf them. Most people let their emotions drown. They chase every feeling: pleasure, distraction, comfort, and call it freedom. But that kind of freedom is slavery in disguise. Real freedom is mastery of yourself. It's doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. That's emotional fitness. And like physical fitness, it compounds over time. Every time you follow through instead of giving in, you strengthen the muscle of self-control. Every time you let emotion dictate your choices, you weaken it. I remember interviewing one of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, a billionaire who built an empire from scratch. I asked him, what's your secret? He laughed and said, Darren, it's simple. I don't negotiate with my emotions. My goals make my decisions. That hit me hard. Most people are emotional decision makers. They wait to feel like it. But your feelings are not facts. They're weather. And if you want to build something lasting, you can't change your plans every time it rains. That's why routines matter. Routines protect you from yourself. When you build habits, you outsource your success to your system. You take willpower out of the equation. Willpower is like a battery. It drains fast. But systems, they recharge automatically. That's why the most successful people seem so disciplined. They've simply automated the right behaviors. They've made doing the right thing easier than doing the wrong thing. For example, if you want to save more money, automate it. Set up an automatic transfer into your investment account every month. You'll never see it, so you'll never spend it. That's not self-control. It's smart design. If you want to eat better, don't buy junk food. You can't eat what isn't in your house. If you want to read more, keep a book on your nightstand. Design trumps discipline. The environment you create either amplifies your success or sabotages it. The most powerful environment you can design, though, is your mental one. Your mind is the operating system that runs everything else. If it's cluttered with negativity, excuses, or fear, nothing else functions right. You have to upgrade it constantly. That's why I fill my brain daily with positive, constructive input, books, mentors, podcasts, journaling. Not because I'm trying to be a motivational junkie, but because I understand this: garbage in, garbage out. Financial freedom, like personal growth, begins in the mind. It starts with the belief that you are responsible for your results. Not luck, not fate, not the economy, you. As long as you're blaming something external, you've given away your power to change. Taking responsibility is hard at first because it strips away excuses. But it's also the most liberating thing you can do. When you take 100% responsibility, you regain 100% control. That's when the magic starts. When I was in my 20s, I made a decision that changed everything. I would never again let my circumstances dictate my behavior. I would let my principles dictate it instead. That one choice compounded into every success I've had since. You see, consistency isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. When your actions align with your principles, you gain confidence. You start trusting yourself. And once you trust yourself, you stop depending on external validation. That's true power. Here's what most people don't realize. Every small act of discipline compounds into self-respect, and self-respect compounds into confidence. And confidence compounds in eyes into results. The chain reaction starts with one decision, doing what you said you'd do. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build integrity. Every time you break it, you erode it. Success isn't built on skills. It's built on self-trust. You can't outperform your own self-image. Your mind keeps score. Every time you hit snooze instead of getting up, every time you promise yourself you'll save money and then spend it anyway, every time you say you'll start tomorrow, your subconscious records it. It starts to believe you can't be trusted, and that belief becomes your ceiling. You can read all the books and go to all the seminars, but until you start keeping your own word, you'll never break through that ceiling. The compound effect doesn't just build wealth, it builds credibility with yourself. I tell audiences this all the time. If you can't manage $1, you won't manage $1 million. If you can't follow through on a small promise, you won't follow through on a big one. The scale doesn't matter. The pattern does. The person who disciplines themselves to save $10 a day builds the same muscle that manages a $10 million portfolio. The person who exercises 3 times a week builds the same consistency that runs a marathon. The principle is identical. You don't grow into success, you grow through consistency. Now let's talk about the trap of motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It's like that friend who's always late. You can't build your schedule around them. Most people chase motivation like it's a drug. They watch videos, read quotes, get pumped up, and then a few days later, they crash. Motivation might get you started, but it's habits that keep you going. The compound effect rewards those who replace motivation with motion. Do it first, feel it later. You'll never always feel like doing it, but once you start, the emotion catches up. When you do something long enough, it becomes part of who you are. That's how identity is built. Identity is the ultimate habit. The runner runs because they see themselves as a runner. The saver saves because they see themselves as disciplined. The leader leads because they see themselves as responsible. If you want to change your life, stop trying to change your results. Change your identity. Ask yourself, who would I be if I already had the results I want? Then act like that person until it becomes true. That's the compound effect of identity. Let's bring this into money again because money is just energy. It flows toward competence and confidence. People who grow wealthy aren't necessarily smarter. They're more consistent. They spend less than they earn. They invest more than they consume. They learn faster than they lose. They understand that time is their greatest ally. The earlier you start, the greater your freedom. But even if you start late, consistency will still save you. The markets reward patience, not perfection. The same law of compounding that builds fortunes also forgives late bloomers if you stay consistent from today onward. I once met a man who started saving for retirement at 50. Everyone told him it was too late, but he didn't listen. He cut expenses, automated his savings, invested regularly, and educated himself about money every week. 10 years later, he had more freedom than people half his age. Not because of magic, but because of momentum. His results didn't come from age, they came from discipline. He told me, Darren, I just kept doing the boring things no one else wanted to do. That's the secret. The boring things done consistently create extraordinary things done automatically. The truth is, success is a lagging indicator. You don't see it in real time. It's the sum of thousands of small behaviors compounded over years. You won't always get applause for it. You won't always get results immediately, but you will get rewarded inevitably. The universe pays compound interest to persistence. The longer you stay in the game, the higher your odds of winning. Most people lose not because they're unlucky, but because they leave before the payoff. That's why I say discipline is destiny. Not the kind of discipline that feels like punishment, but the kind that feels like power. Discipline means freedom. It's the ability to choose long-term joy over short-term pleasure. It's the understanding that temporary discomfort is the price of permanent freedom. The gym, the budget, the reading habit, the routine, they're not limitations. They're liberation disguised as repetition. If you want to see your life transform, stop asking, how long will it take? And start asking, how far can I go if I don't stop? That shift alone changes everything. Because the minute you stop treating success like an event and start treating it like a lifestyle, you separate yourself from the 99%. The 1% aren't born different, they just stay consistent longer. And if you ever doubt whether your effort matters, remember this. One drop of water may seem insignificant, but enough drops can carve through rock. That's what your habits are doing right now, carving through the resistance between who you are and who you could be. The only variable is whether you'll give them enough time. You are building your future one decision at a time. Every choice compounds, every behavior accumulates. Every day either moves you closer to your vision or further from it. There is no neutral. The compound effect never pauses. The question is not whether it's working, it's whether it's working in your favor. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for someone to save you. Start now. Start small. Start messy, but start. Because one day, when the results finally compound and everyone calls you a lucky, you'll smile quietly, knowing it wasn't luck, it was you, multiplied by time. That's the psychology of consistency. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's not about speed. And it's not about emotion, it's about evolution. You don't need a revolution to change your life. You just need to keep compounding the right things long. And when you do, you'll discover the truth that's been hiding in plain sight. Ordinary actions, repeated consistently, create extraordinary lives. There comes a moment when your consistency starts to create its own gravity. You've been doing the right things for so long that suddenly, results that used to take months start happening in weeks. People start noticing. Opportunities begin finding you. Confidence compounds faster than doubt can catch up. This is the acceleration phase. The invisible power of momentum turned into unstoppable force. It's when the compound effect shifts from quiet persistence to exponential growth. Success accelerates when you eliminate what's unnecessary, simplify to amplify. When your life starts compounding, people will call you lucky. But luck is just the residue of design. What they won't see are the early mornings, the disciplined choices, the nights you invested in yourself while others slept. They'll see the results, not the repetitions. But you'll know better. You'll know that luck is what happens when preparation meets consistency again and again. Acceleration also demands gratitude. Gratitude is what keeps ambition from turning toxic. It grounds you while you grow. It reminds you that success isn't just about achievement, it's about appreciation. Gratitude compounds too. The more you practice it, the more abundance you notice. The more abundance you notice, the more you create. Grateful people accelerate faster because they don't resist reality. They work with it. Let me tell you something I've learned from decades of studying success. When you start combining compounding with contribution, your life explodes in significance. At first, you chase success for yourself. Your goals, your money, your freedom. But once you taste it, the next stage is giving back. You start mentoring, leading, serving. And here's the paradox. The more you give, the more your success multiplies. The compound effect rewards generosity. Giving expands your capacity. When you pour into others, you create exponential returns of meaning and opportunity. So where does this all lead, to mastery? Mastery isn't perfection, it's precision through repetition. It's doing the same fundamentals so well for so long that they become effortless. Masters aren't bored by repetition, they're obsessed with refinement. They know that excellence is not a single act, but a habit that compounds through decades. Mastery is when effort becomes art, and once you reach that level, acceleration becomes inevitable. Think about the top athletes, investors, artists, and leaders. What do they all have in common? Once, they're consistent in the basics. They never stop learning, they never stop practicing, and they never stop showing up. They use the compound effect consciously. Every rep counts, every dollar counts, every interaction counts. That's why they move faster, not because time bends for them, but because discipline compounds for them. Acceleration isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters better, faster, and longer than anyone else. It's about aligning every area of your life with your mission. When your purpose, habits, environment, and network all move in the same direction, the velocity becomes exponential. You can't help but win. You're not forcing success anymore. You're flowing with it. And here's the beautiful part. Once you reach acceleration, you realize something profound. The goal was never the result. The goal was the growth. The compound effect doesn't just change your bank account. It changes who you are. It makes you someone who can trust yourself, who can rely on discipline more than emotion, who can navigate chaos with calm, who can build wealth with wisdom. It makes you free. You can't fake compounding. You can't rush it, but you can accelerate it by being intentional. Protect your consistency, perfect your environment, and practice patience. When all three align, the results will look miraculous to others, but to you, they'll make perfect sense. Because you'll know that every small step, every small choice, every quiet act of discipline was building something bigger all along. The compound effect never sleeps. It never stops. It's always multiplying what you feed it. Feed it excellence, and it will feed you freedom. Feed it mediocrity, and it will feed you regret. You are one decision away from acceleration, one commitment, one shift, one change in focus. The difference between average and exponential is not talent or luck. It's the decision to stay consistent long enough to hit the slope of acceleration. And when you do, when momentum, mastery, and meaning finally collide, you'll look back and realize that the life you once dreamed of didn't appear out of nowhere. It was compounding the entire time, waiting for you to become the person disciplined enough to receive it. That is the magic, the mathematics, and the miracle of acceleration. There's a stage in every achiever's journey when something changes. You've been consistent long enough, disciplined long enough, intentional long enough that life begins to respond differently. It's not just that you're getting results anymore. You're creating results that create more results. Effort now multiplies, not just adds. It's as if the universe starts compounding you. The world leans in your direction. People start seeking your guidance. Opportunities seem to find you. This is the stage where compounding turns into multiplication. And it's the most beautiful, yet most dangerous phase of all. Because the very success you've earned through relentless focus can seduce you into complacency. You can start believing that the results are self-sustaining, that the system no longer needs your attention. That's the trap that destroys dynasties, businesses, and personal empires. Momentum doesn't last without maintenance. Multiplication isn't a permanent state. It's an earned privilege, renewed by continued growth. You must keep evolving faster than your results do. That's how the compound curve stays alive. Let me tell you something from experience. Success is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning of responsibility. The moment you start multiplying your results, you inherit a new duty: to multiply your impact, because success without significance eventually feels empty. When you've built a strong foundation of discipline and financial freedom, the next level isn't about acquiring more. It's about expanding who you serve, how deeply you contribute, and how far your influence reaches. True wealth is when your success begins to create success for others. That's the stage of multiplication. At first, you work for money. Then, you make money work for you. But eventually, you make your money and your habits work for others. That's the final evolution of the compound effect, the moment when you stop being a consumer and become a creator of growth. Your actions ripple beyond your own life. They start shaping the lives of others, the culture around you, and even the generations that follow. That's legacy. When I first began mentoring young entrepreneurs, I noticed something fascinating. Many of them wanted to skip straight to freedom. They wanted to multiply before they had mastered. They wanted wealth before discipline. But you can't multiply something you haven't stabilized. You can't scale chaos. The foundation must come first: personal mastery, emotional control, disciplined habits, clear values. Once those are in place, everything else compounds naturally. Without them, success collapses under its own weight. Multiplication begins with structure. Think of your habits as engines, your environment as the fuel, and your relationships as the network of roads connecting them. To multiply, you must expand the network. You do that by teaching, mentoring, leading. Every time you share a principle, every time you model discipline, every time you influence someone to rise, your results multiply through theirs. Teaching is the ultimate form of compounding because when you give away what you've learned, you don't lose it. You double it. Every lesson you pass on becomes embedded deeper within you and spreads its energy outward. I remember sitting with a young entrepreneur who asked me, Darren, what's the fastest way to success? I said, find someone who's already built it and serve them until you learn enough to do it yourself. Then when you do, serve someone else. That's how compounding becomes multiplication. Knowledge shared is knowledge squared, impact shared is impact cubed. When you invest in others, your results ripple across lives you'll never even meet. That's how empires of influence are built. But let's be clear, multiplication doesn't happen by accident. You must design it. You have to intentionally create systems that allow your impact and wealth to grow beyond your direct effort. You have to move from being the driver of the vehicle to being the architect of the highway. Systems are what free you. If you're still doing everything yourself, you haven't multiplied. You've just magnified your workload. Real multiplication is when your effort produces outcomes even when you're not there. It's when your systems, investments, and influence start compounding independently. When I was running my businesses, I realized there were only 3 things I should ever focus on: vision, values, and people. Everything else could be delegated, automated, or eliminated. The average person tries to do everything. The exceptional person focuses on the few things that matter most. The more I focused on building strong people and clear systems, the faster everything multiplied. And here's the secret: systems compound faster than people. Because they don't sleep, they don't complain, and they don't forget. Build systems that protect your momentum and your growth becomes inevitable. This same principle applies to money. The wealthy don't multiply income by working harder. They multiply by working smarter. They build systems that make money move. They let compounding work 24/7. They invest in assets that produce value while they focus on creation. Every dollar you earn should have a job. Every dollar should bring back friends. Money without a mission stagnates. Money with purpose multiplies. But money is only one layer. The real multiplier is mindset. A growth mindset attracts opportunity. An abundance mindset creates generosity. A disciplined mindset sustains progress. And when all 3 merge, you become magnetic. People want to be around you because you radiate clarity. Energy is contagious, and leadership is simply focused energy extended through others. You can multiply your income, your business, your impact. But it all starts with multiplying your leadership. Leadership isn't about authority, it's about responsibility. It's not about commanding, it's about modeling. When you show up every day with integrity, consistency, and service, people follow. They don't follow your words, they follow your patterns. Your consistency becomes their standard. That's why leadership is one of the most powerful compound forces in the world. Every leader creates ripple effects that outlive them. One of my mentors once told me, Darren, your real wealth isn't what you have, it's what you help others create. That stuck with me, because when you build others, you multiply your legacy. Think about it. Money fades, markets shift, technology changes, but the impact you leave on people's lives compounds forever. The person you mentor today could be the one who changes an industry tomorrow. You'll never know how far your influence travels. That's why I say measure your wealth not by your possessions, but by your impact. The richest life is one that multiplies others. Let's talk about freedom, because freedom is the highest form of multiplication. Most people think freedom means doing less. In reality, freedom means doing only what matters most. It's not about escaping discipline. It's about mastering it so deeply that you can direct it where it counts. When you've built enough momentum, systems, and wealth, freedom becomes your dividend. It's the reward of years of compounding, but with freedom comes another choice. Will you consume it, or will you convert it into contribution? The happiest people I know are not the ones who stopped working. They're the ones who started working on something bigger than themselves. Contribution is the oxygen of fulfillment. Once you reach the top of your own mountain, the only way to keep growing is to help others climb theirs. That's the stage of true acceleration. When your purpose multiplies through other people's progress, you no longer chase success. You create it in others. And that's when the compound effect achieves its highest expression, exponential meaning. Multiplication also applies to love, kindness, and gratitude. Every act of kindness multiplies in the heart of the receiver. Every moment of gratitude multiplies joy. Every ounce of compassion multiplies connection. The math of compounding works in every emotional currency, not just financial ones. What you give, you get back multiplied. Life is always mirroring what you project. The more generosity you radiate, the more abundance you attract. Of course, not all multiplication is positive. Negativity multiplies too. Complaints multiply. Gossip multiplies. Complacency multiplies. That's why self-awareness remains essential. If you stop growing, your stagnation spreads to those around you. Leadership carries weight. Your behavior compounds through your circle. You are the thermostat for everyone you influence. Raise your standard and the temperature of your environment rises automatically. Lower it, and everything cools to mediocrity. I've met countless successful people who built fortunes, but lost fulfillment. They multiplied money but forgot meaning. That's the ultimate imbalance, when the math of your success outpaces the depth of your purpose. True multiplication is holistic. It's when your health, relationships, wealth, and contribution all rise together. You can't be truly rich if you're bankrupt in peace, love, or purpose. The goal is to multiply prosperity in every area: spiritual, mental, physical, and financial, until your life radiates abundance in all directions. To maintain multiplication, humility is key. The minute you start believing you've arrived, your growth dies. Stay a student, keep learning, stay hungry. That's how you keep multiplying. The same curiosity that got you started must stay alive to keep you expanding. I've seen people triple their income just by staying curious, asking better questions, and refusing to settle. Stagnation begins when curiosity ends. Keep feeding your mind and the compound curve never flattens. Multiplication isn't a phase, it's a way of living. It's a philosophy of expansion. It's about multiplying value, not just volume. Multiplying meaning, not just money. Multiplying growth, not just goals. It's about becoming a catalyst for others' success while continuing to refine your own. That's what it means to truly master the compound effect. It's not a trick or tactic. It's a way of thinking, a way of being. You're not chasing quick wins anymore. You're building an ecosystem that sustains long-term greatness. You reach a point where success becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. You understand that every outcome is the compounded result of tiny causes. You stop fighting the system and start flowing with it. You no longer need external validation. Your results speak louder than applause. You know who you are, what works, and where you're headed. That calm certainty is the ultimate reward of the compound effect. That's freedom, to live by design, to grow by choice, to multiply by purpose. When I look back over my life, everything I'm proud of follows the same formula: small, smart choices, repeated consistently, multiplied through others. There's no magic, no secret, no shortcut, just timeless truth. You are the sum of what you repeat. Your life is the ledger of your daily deposits, and your legacy is the interest that others earn from your example. So, if you want to multiply your success, stop chasing the next big thing. Start amplifying the right small things. Keep showing up, keep serving, keep sharing, because one day you'll wake up to realize that the life you've built isn't just yours anymore. It's spreading. It's inspiring. It's multiplying. That's when you'll smile and realize the compound effect didn't just change your life. It changed everyone touched by it. And that, my friends, is the ultimate compounding. When your discipline becomes destiny, not just for you, but for everyone you lead. There comes a point when you've climbed so many steps of growth, discipline, and achievement that you begin to see life differently. You stop thinking in days and start thinking in decades. You stop chasing outcomes and start designing systems. And you stop counting how much you earn and start measuring how much you've learned, how much you've given, how many people you've helped rise. That's the final transformation of the compound effect. When success evolves into stewardship, when freedom becomes service, and when every small action you take is part of something infinite. By this stage, you've already proven that consistency works. You've seen how discipline creates freedom, how patience multiplies wealth, how daily effort compounds into unstoppable momentum. You've overcome the false starts, the setbacks, the doubt. You've built the foundation, and now you realize the ultimate truth. Life is not about how fast you can climb, but how long you can sustain your ascent without losing your soul in the process. Sustainability. That's the word no one likes to talk about. Everyone wants explosive growth, but few talk about enduring growth. Everyone wants success, but not everyone prepares for what success demands of them. The compound effect doesn't end when you achieve your goals. It keeps going. It continues to multiply everything you do. Your habits, your relationships, your influence. That's why you must become the guardian of your own success, not the victim of it. See, success isn't a destination. It's a responsibility. Once you have it, you must protect it, nurture it, and use it for something greater than yourself. Because if you don't, it decays. Everything compounds, even neglect. The moment you stop learning, stagnation compounds. The moment you stop caring, disconnection compounds. The moment you stop contributing, emptiness compounds. That's why the final stage of mastery is maintenance. Not maintenance that stagnates, but maintenance that multiplies meaning. When I look back at the most extraordinary people I've met, the ones who not only achieved greatness but sustained it, they all shared one common trait. They never stopped being students. They remained humble enough to keep learning, curious enough to keep exploring, and grateful enough to keep serving. They understood that mastery is not about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions every day. Success made them bigger, not louder. The more they achieved, the deeper they listened. They didn't hoard their knowledge. They multiplied it through mentorship and generosity. That's why their influence outlived them. When you reach that level, the rules change. It's no longer about compounding your wealth, but compounding your wisdom. It's not about increasing your possessions, but increasing your peace. You realize that the highest ROI on earth is not from money, but from meaning. Every time you teach, every time you give, every time you help someone else rise, you're making a deposit into the greatest bank account there is, the human legacy account. And the interest rate on that account is eternal. But let's be honest, sustaining greatness is harder than reaching it. Discipline is easier when you're hungry. It's harder when you're full. That's why you must constantly reconnect to your why. Your purpose is the fuel that keeps the engine of discipline running. Without it, even the strongest habits wither. Ask yourself often, why am I doing this? If your answer is shallow, your motivation will fade. But if your answer is rooted in contribution, in creation and love, it will outlast fatigue, fear, and frustration. Purpose is what turns repetition into rhythm. It's what transforms routine into ritual. When you act from purpose, even the most ordinary moments become sacred. That's the essence of the compounded life. It's not about big moments, but meaningful moments done consistently. Every morning you wake up early, every decision to learn, every act of kindness, every bit of gratitude. That's the quiet architecture of greatness. The extraordinary is hidden in the ordinary, disguised as discipline. One of the most powerful truths I've learned is this: you can't sustain what you don't celebrate. Gratitude is the guardian of growth. Without gratitude, success becomes sterile. It feels empty, like climbing a mountain only to realize there's no view. But when you live in gratitude, every step feels rewarding. Every small win becomes fuel for the next. Gratitude compounds energy. The more you focus on what's working, the more momentum you generate. Gratitude multiplies progress because it keeps you emotionally rich even before you're financially rich. I've seen people sabotage their own success because they couldn't enjoy what they already had. They were so addicted to more that they forgot to appreciate now. But appreciation doesn't slow your ambition. It stabilizes it. It reminds you that growth isn't something you chase. It's something you cultivate. You don't grow by forcing. You grow by nurturing. Just as a farmer doesn't pull on crops to make them taller, you can't rush the compound effect. You water it, you feed it, you trust it, and you wait. That's wisdom. That's maturity. And speaking of wisdom, here's what I know. Wealth without wisdom is temporary. Fame without fulfillment is hollow. Speed without direction is dangerous. The final level of compounding is not external. It's internal. It's the compounding of peace, patience, and purpose. Because when you reach that level, no external condition can shake you. You become steady, the calm eye in the hurricane of life. It's funny. When you start this journey, you want control. You want to force outcomes. You want to make everything bend to your will. But when you reach mastery, you realize that control is an illusion. You can't control outcomes, but you can control inputs. You can't control results, but you can control consistency. You can't control time, but you can control attention. And that's where freedom lies. The more you surrender to the process, the more powerful you become within it. True power is control over self, not circumstances. And here's something you may not expect. The same principles that build success will rebuild you when life knocks you down. Because it will. No matter how disciplined or wise you are, storms come. The economy shifts. Relationships end. Markets crash. Health falters. The compound effect doesn't protect you from adversity. It prepares you for it. It gives you a foundation strong enough to rebuild from any wreckage. The habits, the mindset, the discipline you've cultivated, those are assets no crash can take away. They are compounding silently, even in the dark. Resilience is compounded through struggle. Every time you get back up, you're reinforcing the system. You're telling your subconscious, we don't quit, we adapt. That mindset alone multiplies everything else, because when others panic, you pivot. When others surrender, you steady yourself. That's when leadership shines, not when things are easy, but when the world is on fire and you remain composed. Composure compounds influence. This is where financial freedom meets spiritual freedom. Because once you're free from needing outcomes to validate you, you start making decisions based on purpose, not pressure. Money becomes a tool, not a tether. You stop working for accumulation and start working for alignment. You invest not to impress, but to express your values. That's when your wealth becomes alive. It starts working for good beyond your life. And speaking of lifetime, let's talk about legacy. The final compounding effect of all your actions is the imprint you leave behind. Legacy isn't just what people remember about you. It's what continues to grow because of you. It's the tree that keeps bearing fruit long after you're gone. Legacy is compound interest in human form. It's your values multiplied through others' actions. It's your influence extended through generations you'll never meet. If you want to build a lasting legacy, live in such a way that your discipline becomes someone else's inspiration. Let your consistency become someone's foundation. Let your story become someone's strategy. Every time you rise after failure, you're giving permission for others to do the same. Every time you stay kind when the world gets cruel, you're compounding decency. Every time you make the hard right choice instead of the easy wrong one, you're multiplying integrity across the network of humanity. That's what the compound effect really is. Not just a productivity formula, but a philosophy of living. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that your example transforms others without you even trying. You become a walking compound effect. A living demonstration that ordinary disciplines, done consistently, can create extraordinary lives. Now, let me tell you something that will change how you see time forever. People overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but underestimate what they can achieve in a decade. But it's more than that. They underestimate who they can become in a decade. The compound effect is not about doing more, it's about becoming more. Every choice, every action, every habit is sculpting your identity. One day, you'll look in the mirror and realize you've become someone unrecognizable, stronger, wiser, calm. That's the hidden miracle of compounding. It changes your character before it changes your circumstances. The key is to never stop. Never stop improving. Never stop giving. Never stop giving. Never stop compounding. Because even when you've achieved everything you thought you wanted, there's still room to evolve. Growth is infinite. Excellence is infinite. There's always a higher level of mastery, a deeper level of peace, a wider level of impact. The compound effect doesn't end when you retire or when you reach your financial goals. It continues as long as you breathe. So, how do you sustain it? How do you sustain it? With awareness, with alignment, and with gratitude. Be aware of your patterns. Guard your inputs, your time, your attention. Stay aligned with your values. Never let success pull you away from what matters most. And practice gratitude. It keeps you humble and hungry at the same time. These three elements are the guardians of compounding. They keep the engine of momentum running for life. And remember, the goal is not to be the richest person in the room, but the one who made the most people richer. Not just financially, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That's the ultimate wealth. That's the compounded life, one where your presence multiplies peace, progress, and purpose wherever you go. When I stand on stages or meet people who tell me that one sentence, one idea, one story from years ago changed their life, I realize that's the true compound effect. Something I said once, a small, seemingly insignificant seed, has grown into a forest of success stories across the world. That's multiplication beyond imagination. That's the miracle of consistency multiplied by time. You have that same power. Every word you speak, every active discipline, every example you set, it's planting seeds. Some will sprout next week, some will sprout next week, some will sprout in a decade, but they will sprout. So keep planting, keep tending, keep believing in the invisible mathematics of progress. Because even when you can't see the results can see you. They're coming, they're compounding, they're inevitable if you don't quit. It's not about overnight transformations, it's about long-term evolution. Because every great achievement in history, every financial empire, every masterpiece, every legacy, all of it was built one decision at a time. So I want to challenge you tonight. Stop asking how long will it take and start asking how far can I go if I don't stop? Because I promise you, if you keep showing up, if you keep taking those small steps in the right direction, if you keep compounding effort with intention, one day everything will shift. The momentum will catch. The results will multiply. And people will call you lucky, not knowing how many ordinary days it took to create that luck. Your life is a bank account. Every action is a deposit or a withdrawal. Every habit compounds interest or debt. And the only person who decides the balance at the end is you. So tonight, as we begin this journey together, I want you to remember something powerful. You are always compounding. Every thought, every action, every choice is shaping your tomorrow. The compound effect is the most reliable force on the planet, and once you learn to harness it, you'll never be at the mercy of luck, circumstance, or timing again. This is your time. This is your moment to stop drifting and start designing. To stop waiting for change and start creating it. Because the truth is simple. Small, smart choices consistently applied over time, that's not just the secret to success, that's the blueprint for freedom.